在美国历史缔造了许多第一的前劳工部长赵小兰，目前除了帮助参议院多数党领袖的丈夫麦康诺以外，也积极协助以母亲命名的朱木兰基金会。而赵家捐赠4000万美金给哈佛建造的赵朱木兰中心，也预计明年6月正式启用。到底赵家这几年做了哪些回馈社会的贡献，以及赵家是如何成功实现美国梦的？东森美洲台和世界日报合作采访赵小兰以及她的父亲和妹妹，畅谈赵家奋斗成功的经过。来看我们纽约特派员王一如的独家报道。
美国前劳工部长赵小兰在美国历史上创下了许多第一，从1983年成为第一位华人女性白宫学者开始，到第一位海洋运输署华裔女署长，第一位亚裔女性运输部副部长，第一位华人女性劳工部长，还连续2任，以及第1任华人和平工作团团长。面对这么多历史性第一的成就，赵小兰非常的谦虚，不认为自己是女强人。
It may surprise people, but I never thought about myself, and I think that's good. My first thought was to make my parents proud because they worked so hard for the family. I wanted to make Chinese Americans Chinese proud because when I first came, the status of the Chinese was still not as high as it is today. And so I wanted to make sure that I did a good job in whatever I did so that I can blaze more opportunities and trails for people who would follow after me. And then thirdly, I just always just wanted to do a good job and to be a credit, to society. That was all. Well, first of all, I want to thank World Journal and so many of your readers and also viewers of ETTV and so many other television. The readers and the viewers have been so warm and so encouraging of me as I climb my way up. So I'm very, very grateful for all of the support and the encouragement to myself and also to my family. I don't think I'm too successful. I do believe that I'm very, very fortunate and very blessed, like many other Chinese Americans and Chinese, and that I have a wonderful family. So the family is the most important thing in our culture, and that is something that we should be very, very grateful about. I think the ability to learn is very important. The ability to go into a new situation and learn and see things very quickly, or just be able to learn. So be able to learn, have a sense of curiosity. If I were to say whether there are attributes, I think one is the ability to learn, to be curious, and that's related to learning, and to be interested, and to try different things. So just keep on trying. I think that's the most important. And who do you think I learned that from? My father, who always said, never give up.Just keep on trying, keep on going.
另外，赵小兰女士也给了在美华人，尤其是年轻人要如何融入美国社会的建议。
I have given speeches to Chinese young people in Chinese universities, and I tell them, number one, don't be afraid. Number one, as I mentioned, have confidence. You come from 5,000 years of history. You have so much to give to the rest of the world. And number three, don't be too deferential, not in the West.They don't understand it. And so you have to adapt yourself to the culture in which you're in. Also, people are now so much more interested in Asia, in China, in Asian culture. This is so much easier in many ways than when my father and I first came here. Yeah. When we first came, there were less than 1% Asian Americans, not even Chinese Americans, Asian Americans.We never saw any Chinese people. But now I go out on the streets and it's wonderful to see so many Asians and Asian Americans. So our country is changing.
而在担任劳工部长的8年间，赵小兰女士认为她最大的成就就是开启亚裔从政的大门，以及协助亚裔企业有更多机会。
I think if anything, one of the things that I'm most proud of is how many Asian Americans I have brought into the government, not specifically only in positions, but a greater understanding as to how the government worked. They reach out to the rest of the Asian American community. And then we promote our department's programs. We let the Asian American community know about the various support and help programs that we can offer, the training dollars, in all sorts of ways that we can help the Asian American community. So to summarize, I had the largest number of Asian American appointees of any department when I was in government. So I wanted Asian Americans to feel that they belonged in the highest rungs of the government, that we had every right to be there and we were qualified to govern. And if you don't have experience, you don't have that sense of confidence. So that was number one, getting as many Asian Americans into the government as I could and to give them the opportunity at both the political, at the political level so that they can feel confident for the future. And then secondly, we really publicized a lot of our programs to Asian Americans so they can understand, so they can take advantage of it. There's so much contracting going on. So in the Department of Labor, we had so many contracts that Asian American vendors were not bidding on because they didn't know how. So we would have these opportunity summits, conferences. We cannot give the contracts to any particular person. That's against the law. But what we can do is show them the roadmap. How do you go about getting these government contracts? Here's the way, here's the process. These are the things you have to do. It's very difficult. And so then there were other things, union transparency. In 1959, a law was passed that required unions to file annual financial disclosure forms that required union leaders to file any conflict of interest reports. So we found that a lot of the union members wanted these reports. So in response to their request, we began to enforce this.
另外，赵小兰女士也谈到了未来几年她的工作重心。
I hope that I will continue to make an impact. I'm now on a number of corporate boards, nonprofit boards, and I've got a very active speaking schedule on jobs and employment. And then, of course, I help my husband. And then, lastly, and most poignantly, I have my family's foundation, so I help my father with his foundation. So this one is a Shanghai Mulan 教育基金会. So that was the first one. It was custom made for China, and it had to be called Shanghai. They learned a lot too. You can't call it like China. You have to call it like Shanghai, Beijing. Until my mother passed away, they never said anything, and they were just very modest. It was only because my mother passed away that my father began to make these gifts in her name to honor her, to memorialize her life and her legacy.
而赵小兰口中的父亲赵锡成，正是她成功幕后的推手。赵锡成从当年纽约唐人街一个连电话簿都找不到名字的船公司，到今天成为上百亿美元的全球企业。赵锡成成功的秘诀就在于说话算数以及待人以诚。
其实一句话，你讲的话，那个人家那个相信你。你讲的一句话，人家那个相信你。这个就是个事业的个基础，人上的关系，是吧？我想啊，世界上面神动次性，这个神动次第啊，神动次性，譬如讲这个里面也有民主党，他们对我也很客气。所以说呢，假如你一个人心态一直表示非常平和，非常有朋友，就面相上面看出来的。人家也欢喜跟你交朋友。
而对于女儿们的成就，赵锡成总是归功于已经去世的妻子朱木兰女士。而为了纪念她的奉献，赵锡成捐赠了4000万美金给哈佛大学新建赵朱木兰中心，并于4月24日举行了封顶仪式，预计在2016年6月正式启用。
这个也比较特别，这是第一个有女人的名字，女的名字，因为那一年是哈佛大学这个工商管理学院这个招生学生的50周年，招生女生的50周年，所以意义特别深长。也就是哈佛大学375周年的这一年纪念，所以他们一起庆祝。在庆祝的过程中间，这是一个其中是一个 project，所以我们是非常幸运，哈佛能够接受我们。
赵锡成不只有赵小兰这个杰出的女儿，她的6女儿也是老幺赵安吉，不但跟大姐赵小兰一样是哈佛毕业，也一样年纪轻轻就当上哈佛校董，也就是哈佛顾问团。而赵安吉也是赵锡成船运公司的接班人。
We have a wonderful team in place. Yes. I'm very honored to be part of this legacy, and I will always be with this company. This is my career and this is my life. This is also my responsibility, one that I take with great pride and with great honor. I think that my parents have lived a values-laden life that I think should be honored and should be remembered.
Yes.
And if I can be part of that legacy, I would be very honored to be.
赵安吉和大姐赵小兰一样，对父亲充满了感恩，所言所行都希望能荣耀赵家。
So the first and most important thing that I think about when I wake up in the morning is that I act honorably, with dignity, and with integrity, so that the Chow name remains a wonderful name that is respected, and that people know that I'm the daughter of good people and good parents, and that our company carries out our word. I think it's also very important that we understand, and we remind ourselves of this every day. We are a service company. We are a facilitator of world trade. World trade allows the world to be more harmonious. We, as a family, are very big believers in more international trade and dialogue between countries and between peoples. And of course, East-West relations have a particular sentimental meaning to us, and one that we always contribute to, or we try to contribute to in significant ways. So that is also something that we believe is part of our social responsibility as a company going forward. As a younger generation, I think we're also very proud that our fleet is environmentally friendly and has some of the most innovative and modern technologies for eco-friendly designs and equipment. And that is something that we're very proud of in this.
赵家的福茂集团于去年庆祝了成立50周年，而除了展望未来的50年，赵家也将继续致力于公益事业的投入，让朱木兰基金会以及哈佛赵朱木兰中心充分发挥它的功能，造福更多的人群。东森新闻王一如、谭伟杰在纽约报道。